So we're back with Wayne Kuhn talking about his new book, Recharge. And we're going to have a great time today because today we are going to get into the concepts of what you want. And to me, this is an important concept. People say, well, don't worry about what you want, worry about what you need. I'm going, yeah, but don't you kind of need what you want? Anyway, what do you think about this, Wayne? Where do you go with this? What you're finding out what you want?
What do you really want? Yeah, that's an interesting question, and it tends to be a little hairy-fairy in some people's eyes, because what people really want and what they're getting and what they're doing are sometimes so far apart, and they feel that they're stuck in this place and don't even want to ask that question. You ask some people, what do you really want? Well, that's silly, why even go there? But the reality is you should really ask that question. Now, I've talked to some people that say, they're working at a job they don't like, they're not making enough money, they have a passion in some other field, but they're afraid to make that jump. Other people are quite happy with what they're doing. Maybe they're just not moving ahead fast enough. And some people are quite happy what they're doing and don't even want to address anything else. And that's okay. And that's quite fine. Like everybody lives their life at a different level. My personal aspect on this is when I was asked, what do you really want? Like, I was selling real estate for 33 years and I loved it. There was nothing else. I even looked at other fields. There was nothing else I wanted to do. It filled all my needs financially, freedom wise. It allowed me to work with people, and real estate's a friendly product and all the tick marks that I'd ever want. And then somebody asked me, about 5 years ago, well, what do you really want to do? And we probed that. And I remember back in the 80s, I wanted to be a professional speaker. But it's one thing that I laid on the shelf and said, nah, that's a dream. Maybe if it happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't, sort of thing, because I didn't feel I could make a living at it. Because there's a whole lot of people out there that want something like that, but just don't do anything. And I was in that field where I just didn't do anything with it. And then I realized that was something I made up. I put a wall up there. I said, stop it, sort of thing, because it didn't make sense to me. And I'm analyzing it with the brain that I had, the thoughts and patterns that I had. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the box, that was in my box. Oh, you can't be a professional speaker. You're crazy, and you're just not smart enough, or you're just not good enough. You don't know as many big words as you need, and all the excuses come into play. And so you stop and you put it aside and you don't look at it and you go on with life. So that's where it's important to stop and say, am I doing what I really want to do? And if I'm not, what would I do? And sometimes I remember the quiz or the saying said, if you had all the time and all the money in the world, what would you do? And that's not too far-fetched, because that's sometimes what you would really do. I talk, I think in this chapter about the relationship of money and success a bit. And so often our society gauges our success about how much money's in the bank. And I think we all do it. You got a good job, much money, and we use that.
I'm
Pardon?
Having a little bit of a problem with your, it's saying my internet connection is unstable. And I was thinking it was yours, because my screen seems fine. My apologies.
Okay. No problem.
But
no problem.
I don't see what else we can do except just keep going.
Yeah, I didn't see a message. So yeah, so to finish that thought is happiness is really more important than a full bank account, if you think about it. And there's lots of examples of that. And so I think that's where that's more the answer to that question is, are you happy? And if not, what would you really like to do? Yeah.
It's interesting. The American Constitution, or their preamble to their Declaration of Independence, is the belief that all men are endued with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is something a lot of people don't get. They think they're entitled to happiness. No, you're entitled to go after it, to go for it. And I think that's kind of what you say in your book too. So I think that's great.
Mhm.
And there's a path to happiness, which a lot of people choose, and that is their goal. And again, this is something that people are challenged by is setting goals. But you make a connection in your book here about the what a person wants and how they set their goals. And perhaps you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, oh, I really want to be a rocket scientist or whatever. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to start believing it and writing it out every day and making a plan. Making a plan. Okay, so let's say I wanted to be an author. And so what's my first step? Well, learn about how do you put a book together? What is the process of that? Another step might be each day you want to write a little bit. Now, if I'm not willing to do that, just to sit back and say, I want to be an author, I want to be an author, I want to be an author, like, I don't think it's going to happen. So you have to start taking action and moving towards what you really want in life. And then once you start that ball rolling towards it and you start making it a part of your mindset daily, all of a sudden, boop, things will happen. And you go, oh, well, that was a coincidence. No, it wasn't. You attracted, you start attracting things that lead you to where you want to go. And I know that sounds a little spacey to some people, but I'm reading more about that, and it's actually scientific. And but we won't get into that. It just all I'd say is believe me, that's the process. Yeah.
Bob Proctor's a best-selling author himself, and he talks a lot in his books about the law of attraction. It's
Mm-hmm.
and it's it goes back further than that. I think I first read Sophocles wrote that when you first set a clear and tangible goal, that the whole world seems to shift around you, and things happen that you never dreamed would happen, that take you toward that goal. And
That's
I get the impression that's kind of the thing you're talking about here. And personally, I don't find it spacey. I find it very logical, very sensible. That your
mhm.
mind is, as we talked about in the last episode, is a very powerful thing. And when you set your mind on a certain objective, that you're actually going to wind up doing things that take you into that path. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And the law of attraction is definitely something worth researching because that's the premises. And I could never understand why the secret that got out actually went anywhere because it's not a secret. We've known it for thousands of years. We've known this. It's
Yeah.
just, I think when somebody says it's a secret, well, what's the secret? It's almost a marketing tool that says, oh, the 10 secrets of life. There are no secrets. It's there. You just have to look for it and use it. Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah.
Well, you and I are both members of the Toastmasters organization, and I often tell people this is the best kept secret. This amazing organization developed towards developing people towards better speaking, better communication, better leadership skills, and
Mhm.
it's everywhere and it's open. Anybody can join, anybody can get involved. There's no um, great thing that you have to do, some marvelous series of tasks you have to do to join Toastmasters. You just join.
Mhm.
But it'll teach people. And as you say, it's a secret that isn't a secret. But
And that's
the
the
other
thing.
thing, and the other metaphor that you use very effectively in this chapter that I like is that your book is something like a bridge and between where you are and where you want to be. And what's that all about?
Well, I think the bridge is, and again, I'll go back to an example I use in the real estate world. What I find is okay, to help the process, you first have to figure out where you are. So you write down where I am. You know, I'm so and so age. You know, I've worked at this for this long, but I really, my dream is to be over here. And so a lot of people will go to school, they'll get more education, they'll build more skills in this, and they still aren't where they really want to be. So to me, the bridge is mindset. And very few people teach you mindset. They teach you skills and everything, but they don't teach you mindset. I think I mentioned in another session where even a lawyer, like you go to a lawyer, you'll have a lawyer that is has a single man law practice, and then there's other lawyers that have built a practice with 40 lawyers. Now, what is the difference there? It's mindset. It's how big they think. So I'm hoping what by raising your mindset in this book, by recharging and having you function at a higher mindset where you can do things and you can see opportunity and you can grow and you can create, then all of a sudden what you really want out there, that dream you've been searching for, becomes a more of a reality, and we will bridge the gap and get you unstuck and move you ahead simply by using the processes and tools that I've given you in the book to get you to that place. And hopefully get people to come out of that place of giving up. And a lot of people talked about the box and the kitchen table, like that paradigm is so ingrained in people that it's a struggle to bridge that gap. And I'm hoping to push that button so that they opens their mind to new possibilities and new ideas that they haven't thought of before. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I I've been talking to Wayne Kuhn about his book Recharge, but actually the book started from a seminar you do or a workshop series of workshops I think you're able to do on recharging your attitude, your career,
Mhm,
recharging where you are with your goals.
mhm,
And right now, of course, we're in the middle of the pandemic, and seminars and workshops aren't happening live. But um, nevertheless, if you're looking to do some workshops or seminars for your people, Wayne's available uh, online
mhm.
to make this kind of thing happen and get your people stirred up and get them doing something. Um, if you can't do that, or if you're not in a position to do that, then what you need to do is get yourself a copy of this book. It's Time to Recharge by Wayne M. Kuhn. Uh,
Good.
Wayne, this has been a terrific review of some chapters in your book. Folks, come back tomorrow, and you're going to learn what's moving on, what's happening in the rest of the book. We're going to be doing a couple of or a chapter tomorrow and another chapter the next day. We're going to keep going until we've sort of done a quick summation of the whole book. And some people say, well, once you've done that, why do I need to read the book? Well, we haven't really covered the whole book. We've just been covering highlights, some ideas that are from the book. And we're going to get into more
Good.
and talk about that. So get out there, buy the book, read it, and then when you see what Wayne's actually talking about, it'll make even more sense than it does already. This
Good
has
stuff.
been Bud Brown speaking on BookIt, and watch for the next episode of BookIt tomorrow.
Thanks, bud.